Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Automatic, the connected car company that improves your driving and integrates your car into your digital life. For more information, visit automatic.com/twit and enter the code TWIT to get 20% off your purchase. And by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Right now, get free expedited FedEx shipping when you go to ring.com/allaboutandroid. And by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service that offers over 1,400 documentaries and nonfiction series from the world's best filmmakers. Get unlimited access starting at just $2.99 a month. And for our audience, the first 2 months are completely free if you sign up at curiositystream.com/twit and use the offer code TWIT. Hello, and welcome to another episode of All About Android. This is episode 266, recorded on Tuesday, May 17th, 2016. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Ron Richards.
Hello, Ron. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing all right.
All right.
We don't have Flo today.
No Flo because it is I.O. Eve.
She's kind of like on the inside.
Yeah,
like she's got things going on. She's talking with people. She's meeting. She's seeing things.
Honestly, no. I think it's just a matter of fact that we've witnessed her limit and the combination of prepping for Google I/O plus South Bay traffic.
Yeah,
really,
I can't imagine having to do the whole trek.
She is full.
Except
her cup is full.
I think we can ask a couple of people who are here today what it's like to do the full traffic jaunt from Mountain View all the way up to Petaluma. Joining us in studio, not one but two awesome people. Michael Wolfson, Google developer expert, to my right, and to my left, Liam Spradlin, also Google developer expert from TouchLab. How you guys doing?
Good. Doing great.
Yeah?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for making the drive up, because that's no small task, especially because afterwards you have to make the drive down again. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And
Liam's not used to big open spaces, so
yeah,
we kind of blew his mind.
Too free? Is it you need more?
It's overwhelming.
Can we get some siren noise and traffic noise for you?
You haven't gotten accustomed to the chicken and egg capital of the United States yet, have you? It takes a little bit of time, but at some point it becomes a beautiful place and you just love it. So there you go. It's great to have you guys up here. We're going to talk all about Google I/O. Of course, Google I/O starts tomorrow morning with a keynote. I think most of us are going to be there following, and those of us that aren't are going to be talking about it on the live stream. We'll talk about that in a second. Also, we'll take a look at Google's new Spaces app that they just released and announced. I think it was yesterday. Translation for Android is getting even better. Waze is bringing its carpooling service to the Bay Area in a limited test run, and a whole lot more. But I'm really interested because Josh, who is our technical director today, says he's been working all day. I'm going to build it up for you just to see how it goes on the news VO. Let's get into the news.
What news goes in must come back out. It's time for Google I/O Android News.
All right,
not too bad.
It's okay. It rolls into the next thing. I'm used to hearing things in my ear, like I have the earpiece in, and now I don't. And Josh is all lost back there behind speakers, but it sounded good.
So I know what it's like to be me on the show.
I know, right? How do you do it?
I just can't hear anything.
How do you do it?
Just making it all up.
So Google I/O starts tomorrow. We're going to be, first of all, we have live coverage here on Twit. If you go to twit.tv/live tomorrow morning, that's Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Leo Laporte, Andy Anatko, Ron, you're going to be there.
I will. And we'll be bright and early on the Skype.
Yes, and Russell Hawley from Android Central to tune in. There's that, or there's 360-degree keynote that Google is offering.
We'll not be doing a 360 degrees, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know how we can get 360 degrees in our coverage. I don't know if it'll happen, but yeah, whatever. You've got options.
I don't think they want me Skyping in with goggles on my head, like that. It's a bad shot. It's a bad luck.
So we're all going to be tuning into this, and obviously they're going to be talking about a lot of stuff on the stage, as they do every single year. Some of the things I feel like we kind of already know a little bit about. Some of the things are very, much in rumor / kind of confirmation territory or whatever. So I don't know. I thought we'd spend just a little time talking about the things that we're looking forward to, anything that we think we're absolutely going to hear about, and everything. Starting with Android N. We already know a lot about Android N. I don't know. Are we going to find out anything new about Android N that's going to kind of blow our minds?
I don't think so. I think we already know pretty much everything. Basically, it's going to be a tablet operating system. Maybe we'll talk about later whether it is a Chrome operating system or not, but...
Interesting that
hang
you're
on,
calling it a tablet operating system. That's very...
Before we get started, actually, as GDEs, do you guys have do you guys know stuff before we know it, or are they is there inside dope? Is there inside?
Not in this case.
Not in this case. All right, you got a tough poker face. So all right, so you're on the same page as we
We
are.
legitimately don't know anything, so
Okay,
that's a good place to be, I guess.
Excellent. Yes.
We're all in this together.
I know firsthand that I usually don't want to know anything coming into an episode of All About Android, because it makes it really hard to do an entire show when you actually might possibly know something that you shouldn't know.
Because you're just sitting there in your head, the thing
like,
that you're not supposed to
what
talk
is the
about.
thing I'm not supposed to say right now? What is the thing I'm not supposed to say right now? So, okay, but let's go back. Tablet operating system. I don't know if I've heard of Android N in that regard, but I understand what you're saying, because there's some tablet kind of features, the split screen. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, multi-window and kind of optimized for kind of a bigger form factor.
Okay. Do you think that's a good direction? I mean, is that a strong enough kind of new feature set for people in the next version of Android? What do you think, Liam?
I think in the sense that it's, competitors have multi-window already.
Sure.
So I think in that sense, it's a good move. Whether I'll personally use it, I don't know. But
do you have the Pixel C?
It's something that kind of has to exist. Yeah, I've got the Pixel C.
And do you use it very much? And
I actually used multi-window on the plane here.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of fun, but I didn't do anything productive with it, certainly. But
but I don't know what you don't have to reveal what you're doing. But I mean, I could see I know. I'm not somebody who likes to watch TV while I'm working, but I could see people who are into that and want Netflix in one window while I'm working on something. I mean, that could be the way to go. But again, it's that whether you're using the device for productivity or my use case for multi-window is when you're working with documents that you need to you've got a spreadsheet, you're copying stuff over or whatever. That just seems like a game changer. But I haven't done that on a tablet. Maybe it's a chicken and the egg thing because I haven't had multi-window. I don't know. So,
I have the Pixel C. I have the developer preview installed. I think the first one, and I haven't touched it since. It's just not part of my routine to touch the Pixel C because I'm using the Chromebook Pixel, and I'm pretty satisfied with that. But so I don't know if that's enough to pull me over, but it's nice to have. I'm sure we're gonna. Well, I'm guessing that we'll find out what N actually stands for. This seems like the right time for that, right?
It seems like the right time.
Yeah.
And N is a challenging letter for desserts.
Yes. It really is.
Because again, I mean, aside from Kit Kat, we haven't really seen a trademark name. So those of you hoping it's Nutella, I think the odds of that are probably pretty slim. I mean, it's probably gonna be nougat. That's my guess, which is just I don't like that word.
Not gonna be Neenish tart.
That's gonna be Neenish tart. I've got Wikipedia open listing all desserts, and it's.
I've gone through the N list too, and there's not a lot of options of normal.
Usually, there's at least one or two, or in some cases, many. I mean, where you look at it, and you're like, oh, that's totally a contender, but this time not so much.
The only one I can think of is either nougats or nonpareil.
Yeah.
But I feel like nonpareil it's negative because it's got the word non in it, so it's like it's not parallel.
Why isn't it Perel?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I want Proparel. It's like, come on. But so I think it's gonna be nougat. That's my guess. So
I think it'll probably be nougat. I was hoping for noodle. I was thinking they would take it a different direction, but
go in the form of pasta. Or
I think
entrees.
a pasta theme would really be good for Android.
Well, pasta isn't really noodle. I mean, that's a whole thing.
Okay, all right, fine.
There's a
Purist.
distinction. Sorry,
noodle purist. We've heard a little bit about possibly pressure sensitivity support with the screen. Google has said that developers want it, so they've admitted that maybe this is something to look into. I don't know how much it really. I don't know how much of a force it really is on the iOS side of things, whether it's a game changer or not. But
from my friends that have iPhones, they aren't really sold on the touch.
They don't really use it very much.
No, they kind of say it's a gimmick and not really that important to their use cases, but that's ancillary. I don't know.
I've heard the same thing, but for me, and I've had conversations about this with people before about pressure sensitivity or 3D touch or force touch or whatever you want to call it, like doesn't have a natural analog to any like thing that you do in real life. Like pressing harder usually doesn't get you anywhere on most surfaces. So I just don't
Maybe
see
peeling a sticker off the table.
And I think that's a good point. And what I've heard is that, like I haven't heard many people talk about it at all, but because I feel like it's a concept that's hard for people to get, but there've been less, you can count on one hand the number of people that I know who have gotten it and love it. And like once you get it and see what you can do and you can access, immediate, like on Instagram, like take a picture, like whatever that immediate option is within the force touch on the icon, then they love it. But like I said, it's only been a handful of people in my experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think also another issue is not to like rant about 3D touch, but I think another issue is just discoverability.
Yes.
Like there's no real indication of what elements this works for. So there's a problem with discoverability. There's probably a problem with people accidentally pressing it.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it almost seems like the best efforts are the things that, like you say, make the most sense, that are intuitive just in their existence alone. And the one time that you do it, you're like, oh well, that makes perfect sense. And 3D touch, I don't know, anything that you have to like force yourself to use in order to get in the habit of using it. I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of features on phones that didn't necessarily take that much work to make it as part of your routine or your habit. And some of them, possibly 3D touch, might fall into that category, the other category of being a little bit of a challenge to get in the habit of. Let's see here. Release date? Are we going to find out about a release date, you think? I mean, normally the updates, I think, happen, like the official updates happen like October-ish.
Yeah.
End of summer, early fall, but we're still ways out. I mean, we aren't even summer yet.
I mean, they published that timeline that said Q3, right? So we have like a rough idea already.
Yeah.
I hope we find out a release date.
Yeah. Cool. What else do we have? VR obviously is a theme that keeps coming up outside of Google, all over the place. And then within Google, we've got the kind of the cardboard that kicked it off a couple of years ago. Last year,
and it should be noted that they put a cardboard in the goodie bag. So the
so
existing
you already
cardboard.
picked up your goodie
I
bag.
didn't. Liam did, but
Okay.
I keep.
Yeah, when
track
you
of
get
those
your
things.
badge, you get
Right.
a bunch of IO stuff, and they put a new cardboard in.
So it's
Yeah.
not,
Is
they're not
is
going to
it-
hand it to us at the event on the way out of
It's
the
not gonna be under your
keynote.
chair.
Yes.
Is it a different cardboard or?
It's
Slightly.
the newest version. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know what version they're up to yet, but it's the newest one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So
VR is going to be big. I think it's. I mean, everything that we,
Yeah.
especially with all the attention that Oculus and Vive and all the other stuff have been doing in it, I think there's no way. There's no way there's not going to be a large portion of VR, especially with YouTube announcing, YouTube VR support on iOS. It's.
Well, they're streaming the keynote in immersive
360,
360
yeah,
degrees through that YouTube capability. A lot of kind of sources here and there have said a standalone headset that Android VR, as the effort is supposedly called, would involve a headset that doesn't rely on a device the way a Gear VR does, that doesn't rely on being tethered to a computer, but that's kind of standalone. But then I've read some things that are like, that's not going to happen tomorrow. So I don't even know where,
It seems like that's hard to accomplish, right? I mean, the Vive or the Oculus, those take some pretty heavy duty hardware to
do.
run. So what's Google going to be able to create that can run on some sort of cheap device that
Handheld
doesn't
device.
require a $2,000?
It doesn't
computer
really
to back it.
scale because it's locked into the
Hardware
standalone
itself.
hardware. Probably not going to be as, if this is the case, probably wouldn't be as impressive or as high powered as, like you say, the Vive or the Oculus. Wouldn't compete with that. Peter Rojas, of course, kind of confirmed as much on Twitter, I think, a week ago, saying something is going to be announced at Google I/O for sure. And everybody's telling me that it's not nearly as powerful as the Vive.
Yeah,
or
and
the
I think
Oculus,
you
which
run into processing power. But then again, I mean, like the optimist of me, the one who likes to be surprised and dazzled. Did we ever see the Chromecast coming?
No.
Like a dongle that goes in a TV and can do it seemed like magic when it came out. So I wouldn't put past
And at a
people.
super cheap price point
Exactly,
and
yeah.
does a lot. So it's a good point.
Though, I get the feeling that with Cardboard, Google's aim was to get as many people into VR as possible, just so it moves faster. So, I'm actually hoping for Android VR to just be like a mode of Android, like just the operating system, but in VR.
Yeah, right.
And
So-
they are talking about that. I think that's almost for sure is that VR will be built into Android, and that's going to be a first-class citizen in Android. That seems to be writing on the wall.
Well, they did some hirings. I can't remember who exactly it was, but it was like, I don't know. I remember reading this news 6 or 8 months ago. Somebody who specifically, was hired to the VR team that had a very heavy kind of like UI background. So that kind of hints at tailoring, let's say Android, for example, in the VR space and how that looks and makes
I want to
sense.
see that too. I want to see
Yeah.
like the mundane details of Android,
Right.
like the notification shade and the launcher and stuff. Like, what is that in virtual
I
reality?
imagine like cheesy like 90s movies where like you're diving inside of the code.
Yeah.
I'm inside Android
I
now.
want green numbers and letters falling slowly
I'm
around me.
imagining even like either you pull with both hands to get the notification shade down, or you have like one of those
Slowly.
like a window pull
Yeah.
to like lower the shade down.
Oh, I like it. Although I don't know about long term if I would like that very much, but certainly an immersive way to use an operating system. Different from anything we would have seen. So, okay, so Android VR probably going to happen to some degree. And Google's confirmed the existence of Android VR on their developer site. There've been little kind of happenings over the past couple of weeks where it's like, okay, this is happening too many times for it not to be a thing. So I'm sure we'll see some of that. Tango, Project Tango. Very interested to see what's going on here. I kind of thought that their VR stuff was going to hinge on Tango to a certain
They were
degree.
going to merge into some similar path. Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily what people are hearing. It's a little bit more about kind of Tango's original vision, which was mapping the interior world to a certain degree, but beyond that, kind of taking the Google Maps approach and allowing people to use the Tango to map the world and then share that out so that everybody has access to those things from Google's cloud. That sounds very cool. Working with Intel, Lenovo, both on board. Lenovo's actually expected to show off its Tango hardware next month at an event it's doing. And but it also kind of sounds like VR applications can be applied here if that helps kind of move that technology along. Do you think Tango technology is mainstreamable?
I'm not sure. And it's kind of a little different than VR. It's more AR, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
right.
more about kind of not replacing your world, but augmenting your world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do have an existing Tango tablet, and it's not great.
Like a couple of years ago. Was it
Yeah.
last year?
That
or-
dev
I mean,
kit
well,
one?
they've only
Yeah.
had one,
Yeah.
I think.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember
just-
when you had that.
Was more exciting in promise than in actuality.
Right.
But that may be just the age of the technology.
Well,
and
I think
things.
even when it came out, it was running an old version of the
Yeah, I
of
mean, it's
the
still
OS.
running 4.4.
Yeah.
The Tango tablet I have, so I think I should. I'm not sure
So
about that, but
anything's an improvement, basically.
right. Yeah.
All right. Are you excited about anything in the Tango front? I mean,
I'm still not 100% sure what Tango is actually for.
Yeah.
Like 3D mapping, I guess to the VR point, like if you have a 3D map of some faraway place, then you could look at it in VR and be there. AR, sure, but like on a consumer device like your phone, I mean, it would basically be a window into something you're already seeing with
Right.
overlaid stuff. So I don't really know.
I will say last year at Google I/O, where they had the Tango kind of on display and they had it mounted into a big, controller, a gun controller, and you had this whole space and basically the Tango mounted on top like your viewfinder, and so the entire world that you were playing in
Seeing
and
through
everything that you were moving around the real space, and as you were moving around, that was a really cool experience. Certainly opened my eyes to kind of the gaming possibilities of something like Tango, and when you
You can
take
see
that,
getting those out into the world.
Yeah.
Kind of getting developers to have those could create a lot of data and a lot of
Well, yeah.
mapping the world, like they say. So like
I think that's a
getting
big
these
part of
out
it.
into the world, I think. I don't know. I do think. I mean, I'm pretty sure we will see Tango at I/O, but I do think there's going to be a push for that to like make this more mainstream and make it. They probably don't know what it's for yet, like Liam said, but it's probably about time to let this go out into the world and figure out what it's for.
But they know how valuable Google Maps are to the company, and I think this is the ability to go inside to the same degree. That's a big part of it.
I like the idea of developing a technology they don't really know what it's for.
Google
Yeah, we're
does
doing
this a
this.
lot.
We can do it, but we don't know what the application is going to be. I think that's really interesting. So.
Yeah, and also just the thought of Tango devices gaming. I wonder to what extent the computations that it's doing in order to effectively deliver you this immersive gaming experience, how much of that data is being used, sure, for the game that you're playing, but also, hey, well, we had to map your room in order to do it, and now we've got that data too. Like, it's kind of an interesting.
Well, it's almost like whenever we talk about AR, VR, AR, whatever, I always go back to the example of the movie Joaquin Phoenix, Spike Jonze. Her, you're right. Where he's playing a game that projects all around the room as opposed to going into the world. The world is becoming your world, and I always found that really fascinating. And maybe that's a step towards that as well too.
Yeah,
really neat, so.
Right. So part of tomorrow's I/O we already know about, and that is, well, at least a piece of it called Spaces, which they announced yesterday. It's small group sharing. It's an app. I actually have it up on my phone here, Josh. If you want to take it, I'll. Let's see here. This is a space about spaces. I think Mike Elgin started. It's called "Let's Talk About Spaces."
And
there's 500 people in there. And I don't know. Have you guys played around with this at all? And how do you feel about it? I feel like it's it can be very noisy.
I'm going to reuse my previous answer and say I don't really know what it's for.
Okay.
I was going to say the same. That could be the theme of this.
I know what Google says it's for, but I don't know what I'll actually use it for.
What does Google say it's for?
For small group sharing, because it's hard to search like previous topics that have come up, and it's hard to focus on something.
So is it? I mean, I was reading it because I haven't played with it. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. But I mean, is it Slack competitor? Or
kind-ish?
Feels like Google Plus communities.
Yes.
Yeah. But more like more intimate.
It has a wave. It has a wave component.
I don't want to say
the
W word, but yeah, wave.
I honestly, when we saw the first like leaks of this, I expected it to just be like an experiment that Google was doing, and it might be still. You know, it could be somebody's 20% project, but I didn't expect it to actually launch. But here it is.
Yeah, well, and they launched it ahead of I/O.
Well, that's because it'll be involved.
Right.
Yeah,
part of that is because during I/O, basically all of their sessions, they're going to have a space set up. So you go into the space, you log into the space for that session, and then everybody that's there is a shared community to talk about what they're watching.
So it's just the old IRC back channel at a dev conference from 15 years ago.
Kind of, but with material design.
With material design. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Actually, not really material design.
Well,
it's there's some
material-ish.
I mean, that's probably a big diversion, but there's some.
It's an interesting.
There's some challenges. I mean, there's no side nav. The fab at the bottom is kind of funky.
That was part of the
kind of two big things.
Part of the reason I thought it was an experiment was just the fab is kind of docked at that element, like kind of locked into a little console, which is an interesting change. There's navigation pieces at the bottom that aren't quite tabs, but kind of are.
And I mean, Google Plus, the app, is doing this down at the bottom as well.
Right.
It's like this resurgence of this bottom.
I could probably talk about that for an hour.
I'm not too fond of it personally, but I guess maybe I'm getting used to it because we're seeing it more and more. But when it came back in Google Plus, I was like, seriously, why? No, just feels like it's kind of spastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
doesn't need to be all over in all the places. So, anyways, maybe what we will understand after going to Google I/O over the next couple of days is why it's powerful, why it's good, and that's actually
and why it's different than what we already have.
That's very smart of Google, right? Like all of you developers / influencers, this event is tailor made for something like this. Is perfect for it. You'll understand why you have to be in a space when you're at these things, and then you'll want to do it yourself.
God forbid you pay attention to the talk.
Yeah, no, we're well beyond that.
I know.
That's not the world we live in
Twitter
anymore.
Already destroyed. I guess the back channel IRC from 15 years ago did that as well too. Yeah.
But I also remember when Google Plus when Google Plus first came out, and one of the features that was teased at Google I/O was this like shared event where
what happened to that?
I used it once, and I mean, the challenge always is convincing everybody at this certain thing to do it,
right?
Yeah. And I feel like this kind of falls in the same category. Like you still have to convince people to do this in order for it to be super valuable. So, Play Store supposedly getting some updates. We already saw it. We saw it for a couple of days, and then it disappeared. Mainly beta functionality, joining and leaving a beta from within the Play Store app, which I think people have been calling for a lot because the beta kind of processes, again, just kind of broken into a million pieces. Like you have to know, it's like joining a club, a secret club.
You have to join a Google Plus community.
Yeah. Not the easiest thing in the world. It's since been removed. I'm pretty sure they'll probably announce Play Store updates, and that'll be part of it, I'm guessing. Jibe, which was their acquisition, I think, middle of last year around messaging. And we've heard, all about RCS messaging. Google updated at Mobile World Congress that they're going to have an upcoming alignment of carriers and Google to push out rich communication services to kind of update SMS. So not only does Google have Hangouts and Messenger and now Spaces for messaging and Google Plus messaging or whatever the case is, now they would have another channel of messaging. Do we need RCS?
I think this is a big one. I think this is going to be because everybody knows that messaging at Google is broken.
Yeah.
I mean, like Hangouts is broken now, and Messenger is sad, a sad little lonely little app.
Yeah, but they're pushing people to it, right?
They are, yeah.
From within Hangouts.
So I wonder if this is going to become the engine that drives whatever the fix is going to be, as opposed to an individual app or whatnot. I don't know. Yeah. Could be. We'll see.
It'd be interoperable messaging, essentially, is what it is, with things like IM group chat, file sharing, all that kind of stuff integrated in. And Jibe, by the way, that was acquired by Google a couple of days ago, suddenly disappeared from the Play Store.
Interesting.
So
that's always a hint.
Makes you wonder if we're going to see something around that. This keeps going back and forth. Google's kind of Amazon Echo competitor-ish, which is crazy because Google has had Google Now for 2 or 3 years now and has been kind of, in my opinion, I'm sure we probably all agree, the leader in the space for the most part as far as actually pulling it off in a useful way. Amazon, of course, a couple of years ago announced the Amazon Echo, and that became a crazy kind of breakout device for Amazon. And now they're building up so much of their business around it, integrating it into all these different things with plans to integrate it more. We might see Google's answer to this. Is that exciting to you, Liam?
It's exciting because I think it's a cool device, although I don't think that I don't think it's an obvious decision to make like a separate device for this when you have Google Now on your phones and or tablets. But I guess the integrations are what make it compelling. So we'll see like if they have anything beyond what Google Now does.
And I also don't like the language. I don't like the language around this is Google's answer to Echo. This is Google's answer to Slack, or this is Google. I want to see them innovate and and maybe they because people like the idea of the Echo device, and Amazon rolled out those lower cost kind of the puck version, whatever. Yeah. So do we see an integration into the One Hub, kind of like it's a router and it's listening device and that sort of thing? I don't know. I mean, but I want to see some innovation as opposed to just response, and it's the same thing with the VR, Oculus and Vive and all that is out there, and this is Google's response to VR.
So I think this is actually Google's response to Apple's HomeKit.
Interesting.
So I think that, so I've probably been, every year I've come on here, I've probably, in my prediction, hoped for a home automation toolkit from Google.
We've talked about that a lot.
Probably every single year I've said, I hope this is the year that we see that.
And it's been baby steps.
Yeah. So I really hope we do see this. This would scratch my itch, personally.
HomeKit for you is the TV for me.
I mean, Android at Home, like years ago, was like such an early response, but it never turned into anything.
Yeah. You're right. And we saw screens and we saw the whole thing. And then when they bought Nest, it was like, it's happening. But I don't know if you've read any of the stuff, but Nest is a disaster.
Yeah, I think Nest is...
they're in trouble.
That's another discussion.
That's a whole other discussion. Yeah,
Google probably distance themselves from Nest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if that's the way, if Chirp is the way to...
Chirp's a great name, by the way. Actually,
I
think Chirp is like non-offensive and like Chirp is so like easy and like non-scary. I think Chirp's a great name.
All right.
Because this is a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
Google's going to be listening to me always? Yeah. I don't think so.
Right. Well, they're already, they are. Yeah, but the general public acknowledging that Google's listening always, as opposed to us knowing that they are.
But Chirp listening, I don't care about that.
Right.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, good point there. Good point.
Almost like changing Google Glass into Project Aura.
Yeah.
Which, doesn't have the Google
Which is
Glass
not-
kind of sting to it.
Which is not Project Aura.
Right. Yes. RAURA, not ARA.
Yeah.
Not the modular phone, but the new kind of effort for Google Glass. Do we think we're going to see kind of, supposedly they're working on 3 devices, one that's similar to what we already know and another couple
know
that are
about
audio
this.
devices?
I don't think so.
I don't think that we'll see it at Google I/O. I don't think that they want the public to be part of Glass anymore necessarily. Like,
jumping out of
it's
planes.
not a consumer product, and I don't think there would be any excitement at Google I/O for developers.
Yep.
Not like there was when we first saw it. When then it's like, oh my God, what is this thing? I can't get my hands on it fast enough.
It was amazing. It was that
I
initial
think that
blush.
it could be a consumer device, but if they're going to do something like Glass again, they have to like really super get it right before they show anybody. Which maybe if the other 2 devices are a thing, and one is supposed to be like audio only, I guess like the Moto Hint, maybe that's the consumer approach, and the screen is reserved for enterprise.
Sure. Chrome, Android, coming together, living a life in harmony, together in perfect harmony. What do we think? Is this going to happen at Google I/O, or are we going to see more of this kind of convergence?
Are they going to officially acknowledge that it's happening?
Are they going to get married?
Yeah, are the sources close to the matter are going to be confirmed?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've heard a little bit about possibly the Play Store opening up to Chrome OS getting wider support for Android apps, stuff. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we heard.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, I mean, what Google said when there were those leaks previously was basically like Chrome will be getting the best of Android, but they're not becoming One OS, which I think is true.
Yeah.
Because I think there would be a lot of problems if they just turned into One OS.
Right.
They would have to majorly change how they handle Android distribution and relationships with OEMs and everything. But yeah, they'll probably say something about the Play Store. I mean, they have to. It's out there, right?
Cool. So we'll look forward to that. Google Play's move into China. So possibly announcing, that would be a big kind of deal to announce, to be able to say like all of your apps now available to 1.3 billion people.
Not all of them.
Well, right. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
Ones that
Not
the
all.
state approves of. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. All roads lead to China, though. That's the word.
Absolutely. Yeah, China might get a special version of the Play Store that is cleared, and that would be a big deal for Google for sure. Possibly, I heard about this yesterday. I didn't really read too much into it, but a new camera that can actually search what it sees. So
what was that app when Android
Goggles.
first came out?
Goggles.
Yeah. Is this a physical or
Goggles
a new
hasn't been
goggles?
updated in a really long time.
In
Can you even
like
get it
5
anymore?
years.
It might be pulled.
And it's weird because there's actually a feature that looks at the pictures you take with your camera and then searches for them. So they would just basically be folding that in, which has made sense from the very start. But
Right. But they would finally do it. Yeah, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the contextual awareness of Google Now on Tap, taking what it sees and picking things, extracting things out of it for search. So you were talking about kind of smart home, Internet of Things, maybe an on-hub update that actually activates a lot of that stuff, possibly. I don't know. Any other predictions along those lines?
I'm not sure. I mean, it would be part of this chirp thing, or
Yeah. I guess that could have been moved up. ATAP's always one of my favorite things that I
love ATAP.
This is an interesting year because Regina Duggan, she's out, and she was a big part of what made those presentations awesome, and what made that kind of division such a crazy division to follow. Project Era. Now I want to say Era because it's different from Aura. Project Era, Soli, Jacquard, Abacus, Vault. So those were all from last year.
I think it's. I mean, as much as I want to hear an update on ATAP, I think that the personnel change it just has happened too recently. And whether
but were they planning to reveal something prior?
Possibly,
already?
yeah. But I mean, who knows where they're at with the strategic. I mean, I would love to see a Project Aura update. I would love, like to hear all that kind of stuff and see how it's kind of converging. But I'm not betting on it, or I'm not,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to see the things they announced last year and be able to play with them. And now, last year I didn't really understand what I was looking at when I was playing with them. Now that we know,
come to fruition.
See how far they've come. And so I don't need new stuff from them, but I want to see updates to the existing stuff.
Yep. Right. And then
I don't know if you wanted to
Sure.
do this, but yeah. So our good old friend Hugo Barra posted.
Our good friend. Close friend.
Close friend. Yeah. He posted on Twitter earlier today a little cryptic, clearly hyping up that Xiaomi is going to be at I/O and says, "Get what super combo move we'll be making at I/O 16." Thus, it's kind of harkening back to the classic Capcom Contra code a little bit. So, is Xiaomi going to be there in some sort of gaming capacity, home entertainment? Who knows?
A console, a VR console. I don't know.
Who knows?
Actually,
right?
that's entirely possible.
Right, yeah, I know, exactly.
Not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
But they'll be there. I don't know, has Xiaomi been at Google I/O in the past?
I don't remember.
I've seen Hugo Barra at I/O.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Xiaomi.
But is Hugo Barra Xiaomi or Xiaomi Hugo Barra? Yeah,
Right.
Now it
in an
is.
official capacity up on stage.
Right.
That's really interesting. So kind of the prodigal son returns almost. Right?
Yeah, right. What did we miss? We've gone through a lot of options. Did we miss anything?
I don't know if we missed, but I'd be curious to hear like what you guys are excited for seeing, or what you want to see. Like, why go to this other than seeing what they're going to announce? But like, what's the motivation for you, Liam, to go? I mean, I imagine design stuff, but
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about like the session schedule, then mostly design talks.
Yeah.
I do want to see Google's, like Mike said, their kind of ATAP, like post-touch products like Jacquard and Soli, to see what the deal is there. So I think that's compelling.
Yep.
Yeah.
So are we going to see a change in design? Now, material design's been out a few years, and every couple years they
what's an
switch it up on
what's an
us.
N
They
word?
just updated some part of the
the
doc,
motion.
material
They
design.
just kind of put some
Yeah.
motion stuff. Hopefully, we'll learn how to do those things they're telling us to do.
Yeah.
Is it going to be nutterial?
They've
Sorry, I got him.
they've been
I got him.
That's good.
they've been doing a good
Material
job
design. I like it.
of updating the spec a lot with new ideas and new interactions and kind of like recipes for people to follow, but not developers, only designers. So that's the change that I would like to see more than anything. But yeah, I think material's been evolving slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And will continue to evolve, not
Right.
be
Yeah, I
replaced.
couldn't see them going in. Like, all right, it's 2 years. It's time for a change. We've got this brand new design paradigm.
I could
and it's
see them
called-
doing that, actually. I could see them doing that.
And it's called Hollow.
Yeah, right.
We decided the past is now the future. Cool. Excellent. If we have touched on all of the I/O stuff, I don't think that we're really missing. Well, I'm sure we're missing out on plenty.
Oh yeah, I'll just make my hope we see something in the TV in the living room.
I just want that's always that's your baby.
Figure it
And
out.
again, that's something we say every year.
I know.
Probably you and me both. And I'm talking to the chat room right now. I don't think there's a lot to be had there.
We say it every year because we had it for a couple of years, like with the Q and with all that sort of stuff, and it just has never. We've had a bunch of flyouts. We haven't had a home run yet, so I'm hopeful. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Next is Q2.
The TV space, I guess, is changing a little bit in that, people aren't using cable as much, cord cutters. So, there is certainly prime opportunity for this technology, but I really don't think, I actually don't think we'll see anything about it in the keynote, anything.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any sessions, although
Yeah.
I haven't looked closely, but.
Right.
Well, and even if
There was
so, it
one.
might be one just
There
like
was
buried
one-
somewhere.
Yeah, there was one buried. There was the one that had, because I went through every day and searched for TV, television, whatever, and I saw there was one, and there was a couple of Chromecast or one.
I mean, of
Chromecast.
course, they can, if they announce a new Mi box, they can add more TV schedule, TV
Right.
talks to the
Yeah,
schedule. If there's
probably.
something
It's so funny because like that's the thing. Like it's like they want to show that clip of Transformers that they're going to give to everybody. In the place there. There's always some media. And I'm also curious. I'm excited to see tomorrow what the demo is or the experience. Like we've seen every year, kind of they collaborate with some partner. Whether a couple years ago it was Arcade Fire, and didn't they do something with The Hobbit or whatever with what's his face with Peter Jackson, right?
that's right,
So there's always some interesting kind of media-based crossover. So we'll see.
Glad you pulled out Peter Jackson's name. The chat room would have killed you if you.
I know.
Well, they
They
would have
just pulled
totally
out-
taken
They
your
know,
nerd
I know.
card away. And
The chat room just pulled out that there are a couple of Android TV sessions that were just added yesterday. So
maybe.
there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cheese Zero.
Yeah,
In the
very
chat.
cool.
All right, let's. We've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. Before we do that, let's thank the sponsor of today's episode. That's Automatic, right here. This tiny little thing right here that plugs into your car. Chances are your car hasn't fully kept up with technology. That's where Automatic comes in. It's a small adapter. It turns any car into a connected car. You just plug the Automatic adapter into the same port that your mechanic uses. Here, I can take it out of the little container here. And basically that allows you to diagnose engine problems. It opens up a world of possibilities on different ways that you can use that data. It works on nearly every car made after 1996. And it just takes minutes to install. You just find the port and you slot it right in. You can connect to your iPhone or your Android device over Bluetooth. And it gives you access to just all sorts of data that's streaming from your car in real time as it's happening. You get real-time performance data, audio alerts that do things like signaling when you should kind of ease off the gas or the brake pedals. You're kind of slamming the brake too hard or whatever. It'll give you a little chirp and let you know. Also helps you avoid high speeds if you wish. They have a commute analyzer that determines when you should leave for your destination, how you can save money by making your commute more efficient. Automatic lets you keep track of your fuel mileage, and will actually allow you to set custom low fuel warnings so you're never stranded somewhere. So you can, listen to Automatic when it tells you, no, now is the time to get gas. You can keep track of, your driving stats with Automatic. They've even got a 24/7 crash response feature. So, if you have like a teenager who's driving, you can know if there's a problem. You can feel secure knowing Automatic is, keeping them safe on the road at all times. And for Android phones, if you choose, Automatic can set your phone to Do Not Disturb mode and disables your keyboard while driving to reduce interruptions and reduce the urge to text. Save yourself from yourself with that feature. I highly recommend that one. There's a dashboard web app that provides granular information, lets you export your trips for whatever reasons that you need. You can easily file business expenses with apps like Concur and Expensify, but there's all sorts of integrations. Amazon Echo, Nest, Your Mechanic, FreshBooks, If This Then That, and more. And yes, it supports wearables like Apple Watch and Pebble. And it's just, generally it's just pretty cool. You got to check it out for yourself. There are no monthly fees or subscriptions required. Automatic will never sell your data. And it's just all about linking your car to the connected devices that power your life. Everything else is connected. Might as well connect your car to your life. So Automatic is normally $99.95. When you use our special offer code, TWIT, that's TWIT, you'll save 20%. Go to automatic.com/TWIT for more information and to purchase, and use offer code TWIT to save 20% off the regular purchase price. That's automatic.com/TWIT. We thank Automatic for their support of All About Android. All right, we've got some hardware to talk about. Let's do it. Hardware Josh. Okay, so Lenovo had an announcement today. So the Moto G.
This headline is.
I know, yeah. The headline's a little snarky. I think it was a Verge. Oh, the article link is not in there. Just do a search for the headline.
You talk about it, I'll find it.
Yeah. Motorola launched its next generation of the Moto G series today with not one but 3 separate versions. We've got the Moto G, which is a 5.5-inch 1080p display, Snapdragon 617, range of storage and RAM options all the way up to 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, 3,000 milliamp hour battery, Marshmallow. Of course, you got Moto Display and Moto Actions enhancements. It also has the Moto G Plus, which is all that stuff, but a better 16 megapixel camera with phase detection, laser autofocus, and a fingerprint sensor on top of a physical home button. So you got it then. You can see it right there. Little fingerprint sensor on that spruced up Moto G Plus version. So you have that option on Moto G now. And then there's the Moto G Play, which is kind of like the lower end 5-inch 720p display, Snapdragon 410 processor, low storage, low RAM-ish, 2 gigs of RAM, and all that kind of stuff. That is not releasing yet. That releases later this summer. But the Moto G and the Plus release now in Brazil, and the G Plus in India. UK is going to get it in June, and the US details are not out there other than to say midsummer.
And not only that, but we see that if we scroll back up, Josh, we see the return of incredibly happy people using the phone.
Holding the phone out.
It's been a while since we've seen the happy models using the phone, and those are some pretty people.
They've got beauty face on right now. The camera feature from smartphones. Is it? I don't know. How do we feel about kind of Moto G? I feel like there was a little bit of focus of the Moto G over the past however many years. We're going to make one really great device for a specific price point, and that's going to resonate with people. And it did. It was Motorola's best-selling device during those years. Is it smart for them to open it up now that Lenovo's kind of calling the shots? What do you guys think?
Honestly, I mean, I don't know. I guess if somebody wanted like an affordable device, but maybe the Moto G, the one phone approach didn't really speak to them and their needs, then
nice to have options.
Does fragmentation equal more sales? Because you're filling more needs of more people than opposed to having just, I don't know. I mean, that could be a question. Clearly, they must have run the numbers and say this functionality would have an audience and would have a customer base instead of just having one. I mean, three is better than one, right?
Yeah, and actually, Wade County in chat is actually making a very good point, which is that this is a little bit more about rebranding. Google Play, or the Moto G Play edition, is the new Moto E. G is the entry-level G. G Plus is the model you paid extra to get the RAM for last year. That's a really, really great way to summarize that. That's a great point. I hadn't looked at it like that.
Well, that said, in terms of branding, though, that kind of fades right into the next one.
Yeah.
Which is, we've seen a lot of moving around in terms of brand names and phone names and things like that. HTC moved the HTC One to the HTC 10. Sony's moved the Xperia Z lineup to the Xperia X for its flagship series, and now Motorola continues the rebranding effort and is moving the Moto X to the Moto Z. Where basically Sony and Motorola traded letters here. Xperia Z.
You can have the Z, I'll have the X, and everybody's happy.
So goodbye Moto X, hello Moto Z, is that article there says. I mean, it's just, it could be the same insides or it could be an evolution of the insides, but calling it something different is something new into the marketplace. And
especially when Motorola actually is different. I mean, Motorola as an offering now is, owned by Lenovo. They are making changes, and this seems to be a way for them to kind of say, like, this is us putting our stamp on it.
Right. But I mean, I feel like the Moto X built up so much positive sentiment with people.
So just kill it.
So just change the name.
I know, right?
Kill it dead.
And I don't think that the change from X to Z, saying like, oh, Z is the new X, is going to be communicated to consumers. Like, I don't know why anyone would care about that. They're just going to say, oh, Moto Z, this is a new.
It's a new
thing.
Motorola. It looks nice. Or does it look nice? I guess that's open to interpretation. It has those pogo pins on the back for extending the functionality with. I can't remember what they're calling their friends. It's not
right.
Their friends have a different name, and I can't remember what their name is.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's better than the Moto X2, right? Or the Moto, I mean, it's.
Or the Moto X Plus. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, they're doing that with the G.
So. Motorola.
I know. Oh, they're called amps. The modules are
that's
called
what they
amps.
Yeah. That's not confusing at all.
No, not at all. I know, right? And then finally, I don't know. It's rumory territory, but the OnePlus 3 hype train is rolling, and EvLeaks, of course, famed leaker on Twitter and other places, shows off what could be the device in its glory, with an AMOLED display, 3,000 milliamp hour battery. I gotta say that the design of this really looks like kind of like last year's or the year before HTC One, like the M9 or the M8. I guess it kind of looks like this, but this has more of the kind of the chamfered edge around the sides versus the rounded corners of the OnePlus 3. So I don't know, how's the OnePlus 2 doing? I feel like OnePlus 1 had like all this momentum, even though they really dropped the ball in certain ways along the way.
We talked a lot about it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, well, that's true. But still, everybody was talking about it. OnePlus 2, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of care about it very much.
I don't know. They managed to spark some controversy.
They did on the launch, though. But that's the thing, is that like they came out, but then I haven't talked to anyone about the OnePlus 2 in weeks to months. Like it's sustaining that, and I haven't seen one in the wild. I think the first time I saw one in the wild was last week when I was in your guys' office.
Yeah. So. Kevin has one, and that's the only one that I've seen in person besides a review unit.
The OnePlus 2.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right. Well, quickly, we got an email. It's actually very similar to the topic we were just talking about with Google I/O. Jonathan writes in and says, I've been an owner of a Nexus player for 6 months now, and I love it. In late January, early February, my mother's, like he doesn't remember, late January, early February, my mother's Roku died. I told her to get a Nexus player. They were out of stock in the Google store and have been out of stock ever since. That said, what do you think the likelihood of Google will announce a new Nexus player at Google I/O? As we talked about, we're guessing probably slim to none, although I'm holding out hope that it will be yes. If it is a no, and your mom still hasn't replaced that Roku box, check out the NVIDIA Shield box. That's currently the best Android TV device on the marketplace. Actually, the chat room was talking about that while we were talking about Android TV. So if she needs to replace it, it is a little extreme gamer for your mom, maybe, but it's a very good Android TV box. Maybe you take the NVIDIA Shield box and give your mom your Nexus player. So that could be a good solution.
Doesn't Android TV have a bunch of is it Samsung or Sony TVs that have it
integrations
like baked in?
Yeah, but sounds like she already has a TV.
Yeah,
think
that's true.
I think actually with Hugo Barra's tweets, the chances went dramatically up.
You think
for
so?
A new box, yeah.
Interesting. All right.
It's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the reason why the allusion to kind of the gaming.
Well, yeah, if it's a gaming
platform,
yeah, but who knows if there's a TV element to it? I mean, although can you do? I don't know. I really hate the. I mean, I get that it's all on the same screen, but like when I got my Amazon Fire Stick and it's like here's video content and here's games and here's whatever. Like I just want to see. I mean, because I'm more on the media side than on the gaming side. I don't care about the game stuff. Like the thing that shied me away from the NVIDIA Shield was the heavy gaming aspect to it. So give me a gaming box, give me a TV box. I guess that making them the same is just one. It's one HDMI cable that you need, but it's
right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Xiaomi has, whether or not that's a set-top box or not.
The more we talk about it, the more I'm really intrigued by what Xiaomi is going to bring to this, because Google obviously worked with Huawei on the Nexus 6P to kind of, and I think to a certain degree, to a certain level, helped to legitimize Huawei to a larger kind of group of, let's say, Western users. Could do the same thing for Xiaomi.
Huawei Western users.
Don't go there. Don't go there. I don't have the energy for this.
Sorry.
The energy for this rabbit hole. So it'll be interesting to see if and what does that lead to a couple of years down the line, because Huawei certainly has interest in moving its phones outside of the limited regions that it's in now. Obviously, there's larger hurdles, but this kind of gives them I guess early access to see how people receive their devices on a larger scale.
Yeah, totally.
Interesting. All right, before we get into apps, we've got some apps news to talk about. Let's thank a sponsor real quick here, and that is the Ring Video Doorbell. I'm a huge fan of Ring Video Doorbell. I have one at my house, and basically it allows you to turn your doorbell into a smart doorbell. And I know that sounds strange. Turning a doorbell into a smart doorbell isn't the kind of thing that we normally think about doing. But then once you get it and once you use it, you realize how valuable it is. And that ring at the door, it could mean a million different things. Maybe a package is being delivered, or maybe friends are coming over. You don't know unless you're there to see. It also could be the sound of someone planning to rob you, because over 95% of home break-ins actually happen during the day. Burglars almost always start by ringing your doorbell to see if someone's home before they go in and take your things. With the Ring Video Doorbell, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. Ring's advanced motion detection actually alerts you even if someone doesn't ring the doorbell. You can set it up. It's an optional setup, so you can have motion detection or not. It's up to you, and you can set kind of the distance that it checks and what angles and all that kind of stuff. It's super customizable. With the Ring Video Doorbell, you can talk to delivery people, keep an eye on the package that they drop off. That's what it sounds like. If someone tries to mess with it, the package that's there, you'll get an instant alert and HD video of the entire thing. It's kind of like you have like a robot neighbor keeping an eye on your home, and you can talk through that robot to whoever that jerk is at the door. Installing Ring takes minutes. They actually give you all the tools that you need in the kit here. There you go. Really easy to install. I think it took me like 10 minutes to install it. Works with your current wiring, or if you don't have that, it has a built-in rechargeable battery, which I also have. I use the battery. I don't have the wired connection. And they actually also have an advanced Ring Video Doorbell that's $249. It starts shipping. Well, I think it started shipping already. And you can, check that out as well if you want some advanced features. But this is the one that I have. I know it. I love it. And you can put your mind at ease with the Ring Video Doorbell. Protect your home with a video doorbell that Time Magazine and USA Today named one of their top 10 gadgets. Go to ring.com/allaboutandroid for free expedited FedEx shipping. That's ring.com/allaboutandroid. And we thank Ring for their support of All About Android. All right, let's do some apps real quick. We're going long.
We're gonna go.
Actually, I
we're
think
gonna
we're
catch
doing
up.
okay now. We're
gonna catch
catching up a little bit.
A little bit.
Today was mostly about I/O. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, not every change or announcement coming from Google is happening at I/O. In fact, the Google Translate app team rolled out an update, which is really interesting, actually. It allows for translation of text inside other apps on a device in 90 languages. All you need to do is highlight the text, then access the overflow menu, and select Translate. Developers, that you will need to add a few lines of code to enable this option, but once you do, you will open the doors to people using your app in 90 languages, which is amazing. Also, the word lens functionality now works with Chinese, both simplified and traditional, which is the trick to do Chinese translations. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Although, so
one translate to rule them all.
What did I see? I meant to look into it. Maybe one of you guys read deeper into this. How this is sidestepping some of the functionality that Google announced earlier this year for Marshmallow, I think it was. It's kind of widening it for more users,
yeah,
right?
So there's already a feature. Well, I guess this is now already a feature too, but in Marshmallow, they introduced the kind of thing where you can tap into the contextual menu.
Yeah.
So when you long press a word, a menu pops up and you can
Yes.
kind of like add actions to that.
And this isn't that.
So, right, Translate added an action for that, but of course it's only for people on Marshmallow. So this is kind of like giving it to everybody else.
Okay, because as we know, rolling out new features for the latest version of Android is one thing. Getting the latest version of Android in people's hands is entirely different. I think Marshmallow, I don't know what the latest number is, but I think it's less than 10% of all Android users even have Marshmallow right now. Almost, I'm guessing almost a year later after that, feature was teased. That's kind of and actually, I think J.R. Raphael of Computer World and Android Intelligence had an article, I think, in the last couple of days talking about this kind of elephant in the room, which is that, having all of these new features that you show off at an event like Google I/O, that's one thing, but there's a really big challenge in the fact that most people will not have access to those features, and even Google is programming around it to protect itself.
Yeah, we love to talk about it, and we all have access to it. We all talk about it, everyone in the chat room, everybody who watches the show, the diehards. But my sister with her HTC One M8, from 3 years ago, this is still not not updating or not accessing the latest. It's a gap. So it's the last mile.
Yeah, and Michael, you'd probably be perfect to ask this question. Is it a matter of developers not seeing enough benefit to put the work in? I mean, in this case, I think it's just like a couple of lines of code. But why aren't more developers kind of investing the time to integrate?
Listen, as a long career of doing project and product management, hearing it's just a couple of lines of code
all right, fair
makes
enough,
me cringe.
Fair enough. But okay, so one is a couple of lines of code. Like when Google says we're giving you 2 lines of code, is that a lot to ask for developers?
It depends, but I think more of the case is that you want to apply functionality for people that are going to be there. So you see, the thing that you were talking about before, I was kind of looking up the distribution numbers, is the fact that we have so few people that we're targeting with that functionality makes it not like worthwhile to spend the time, right? I want to work on the functionality that's going to affect the most users, and working on something that's in a operating system that a very small portion of my users have isn't useful time to spend. I'll do it 3 years from now when people are on that OS.
Man.
But then also, to my point, is it ever just a few lines of code?
Right. For the developer, it might be a few lines of code, but anytime you want to add a feature, even if it's 2 lines of code, there's a whole
series of events.
You have
said the designer who wants to make
Right.
sure that it actually
That the UI is elegant.
That's a really great point, and I'm happy you pointed that out, because I'm so used to seeing Google's new things be attached with, and all they have to do is put in 2 lines of code and blah, blah, blah. So I'm used to reading that and going, wow, that sounds really easy to do. But there's a whole lot of other things that kind of supplement and back that up, testing, designing around it.
It's never just a couple of lines of code.
Yeah.
It's never just a couple of lines
well,
of code.
even if it is just a couple lines of code, and that is all we need to do, we still need to test. We still need to get it tested on multiple devices.
Regression.
It's like, so, I mean, to Ron's point, there is no such thing as just a few lines of code.
Yep.
Even if it does work, there's still a whole bunch of work.
Right.
So there's no such thing as just a 2-line code change that.
It never is.
Well, Google told me that there is. At least that's what I've believed, anyways. Very good point. Waze is the kind of the mapping software, the mapping company that Google bought, I think, a few years ago for community sharing, road conditions, all that kind of stuff. Some of that functionality is kind of folded or at least shared with Google Maps at this point, which I find very useful because I'm not really a Waze user personally. I find it just to be a little too bubbly for my taste. But they are testing out carpooling with Waze Rider. It's a new app that certain folks in the Bay Area can use to commute and ride share with other people that have matching destinations or very similar matching destinations. 25,000 employees of selected companies in the Bay Area are testing the service actively right now. Google's already been, kind of testing it with its employees before this. Riders pay the drivers a recommended amount. Google at this point takes none of that. Though they tested this last year. Remember, we talked about it last year when they were doing this in Israel with a different, I think it was named something different then. And there, Google did take a 15% cut, and riders could also request a free ride. So, there were some changes. I think this is really smart. I think the challenge in carpooling is finding somebody else that shares a destination that it actually makes sense. That isn't like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going there and I'm giving you a ride, but now when we get there, I have to go all the way over there and then all the way back, and is that worth it to me? I don't know. Maybe is this appealing to anyone, or is carpooling not that?
I don't use Uberpool or Lyft Line or I try. I mean, I don't. So
how does Uberpool work? Is it similar?
I mean, Uberpool basically is you say this is where I am, this is where I'm going, and then basically what it does is it finds you a driver, and they might pick up people along the way. And I've been on Uber pools that just never end because they just keep picking people up because I'm going across. I was in the marina once, and I was going down to Soma, and it took an hour because every time we got a little closer, and they'd add another person, and we go into another neighborhood and all this sort of stuff. So, that said, it was $4, and so it makes it cheaper. But
right. Honestly, in New York, most of the time there's not even another rider. And sometimes they don't show up. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I did when they first launched it. I would do it because if they don't find another rider, then you still only pay as if they did. Right. So as a way to game the system. But San Francisco, it's getting busy now. So interesting. All right. Well, finally moving on. This is sometimes there's a little moment in time where glorious things happen. And recently, for a couple of days, if you wanted the Google stock dialer on your non-Nexus phone, you're able to download it, install it, and use it. It seemed like it was intentional. But then Google pulled the wide availability, saying it was an accident.
Oh, wow.
So now even a side load won't get it working if you aren't running a Nexus device. And that begs the question, why not allow people to we
Yeah. I mean, we're replacing all the apps with. Yeah.
What's so proprietary about the dialer?
Yeah. Do we have any thoughts here? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a complicated issue. I'm sure there's stuff that we're not seeing. I think it's funny that they say it's a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of testing and logistics that goes into launching any app from Google, particularly something as important as the dialer.
Not even that, but just setting it up in the Play Store.
Right.
What are the steps it takes to publish an app in the Play Store?
Right.
How is that a mistake? It's it was a mistake that took me an hour.
It went through a lot of steps.
I keep on working and publishing it.
I don't know.
I
was trying to buy this book on Amazon, and I published the dialer.
Publish, yes. No, I didn't mean to do that. Yes.
Yeah. But it could be a miscommunication internally. I mean, that's probably more.
Or it could be the biggest announcement tomorrow at Google I/O. Finally, everyone can get the dialer. Yeah. That'll be like the marquee
free dialer apps for everyone.
Yes. On your way out, pick up an APK at the door. Russ emailed us at AAA@twit.tv with a question. He says, I'm a longtime fan, need your help. Trying to get my Nexus 6P to have a cash register sound for the notification when a specific email, that's a sale on my website, comes into my phone, either through a Gmail account or a Pop IMAP account. I use Boxer based on your recommendation. I've tried using If This Then That, but I can't get the notification sound to fire a specific sound. I've also tried setting a specific sound in Gmail, but no luck. Help! I'm not a Boxer user, so I don't know about this, but here's what I'm wondering. I figured out how you do it with Gmail. I wonder if even though you're using Boxer, you could still have Gmail kind of sync a particular label. Here's how it goes. get the cash register sound on your phone. You download it to your phone. You'll want to use a file manager app to copy it from the downloads folder that it'll end up in to the notifications folder in your root directory. So, use whatever file manager app you want to use there. Assuming Gmail, you assign that sender, that specific email address, its own label. Let's say sale, whatever you want it to be. Go into settings, select the Gmail account, and you make notifications active. Then you go to manage labels in the settings and go to the label that you called sale, and you turn on label notifications. And in there, you can also turn on to notify for every message, and you can select a sound. Now, if you put that sound in the notifications folder, then when you go into the sound thing, it will ask you which app to use to browse your file structure. I used my file manager app, and I saw it right there. I selected it, and voila. Every time you get an email from that particular label, which would be any emails coming from the sale, you would get the cash register noise. I don't know how that translates to Boxer, if Boxer has labels and label notifications, that sort of stuff. Thanks for using it when we recommended it, but apparently we're not using it right now. But if it works for you, great. And even if you continue to use Boxer, maybe you can also have this happening on the side as like your notification method. You were going to use if this, then that to do it, which is another app. So here.
I like the concept. I like the challenge. It's like, I made a sale. I want to make a cash register noise. Yeah.
Totally. When I read it, I was like, this is a good tip. We got to figure out how to do this.
Your significant other won't get tired of that after a day. So, yeah, it's a good idea. Do that.
But it's a great idea. Yeah. Like, I wanted, it allowed me to, I realized that I could set this up for like financial transactions. So if your bank account's getting low or whatever, and you get an email from, notification from your bank, have it send you a specific notification about that. No. And that's important information. Instead of discovering it later in your inbox, you're like, dang it, it's too late to do something about it. So really great stuff, Russ. Thanks for emailing, and I hope that helps.
All right. Before we get to the arena, we're going to thank our last sponsor of the day. We want to thank CuriosityStream for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. And CuriosityStream is the world's first ad-free nonfiction streaming service. It was founded by John Hendricks, who's the founder of Discovery Communications, and they've got over 1,400 titles and 600 hours of content. It's available in 196 countries worldwide, and they're available on many platforms. They've got a web app available on Roku, Android, iOS, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, the Amazon Kindle, even Apple TV. A wide variety of science and technology content, plus nature, history, and many more topics. Over 50 plus hours of 4K content, which they've just launched. So if you've got one of those newfangled 4K TVs and you're the biggest complaint I hear about those 4K TVs is there's no content to watch on them, here you go. You've got over 50 hours of stuff to dazzle in the 4K resolution. They've got one of the largest 4K libraries on the internet. In addition to their documentaries, they also have interviews and lectures. Their library includes a ton of great stuff, such as Stephen Hawking's Universe, which is a series where Stephen Hawking traces the history of astronomical theories and technology. They've got The Human Face of Big Data, currently exclusively on CuriosityStream. They've got The Road to the Singularity, where Jason Silva and other experts explore the inevitable arrival of superhuman intelligence in this CuriosityStream original documentary. If this sounds interesting to you, they've got a monthly and annual plans available. Plans start at just $2.99 per month. That's less than a cup of coffee or the cost of one title on a competing on-demand platform. And I think last time we talked about CuriosityStream, I mentioned this. I have a friend who has a 6-year-old son who only watches documentaries, and they're running out of things to watch. Pass this along to him. Now they've got tons of documentaries for the kid to watch and absorb into his nerd brain. Very excited for his future.
Nerd brain.
So get on board. Check out curiositystream.com/twit. And use the promo code TWIT during sign-up to get unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and nonfiction series, completely free for the first 60 days. That's 2 entire months, free to use one of the largest 4K libraries around with no ads. It's amazing. Just go to curiositystream.com/twit and use the offer code TWIT at sign-up, and we thank them for their support. And I love great content streaming online as a cord cutter, so thank you, CuriosityStream.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of documentaries, too, so that's perfect.
All right, you want to do it?
Let's do it. Let's battle in the arena.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
I scramble to make today's poll here.
So yeah, I'll take this. So looking at last week's results, remember we had our good friend Gina Trapani on the show, and she took one for the guests. Team Guests gets the win, as Learn Python gets a whopping 59% of the vote. in the poll from last week on Google+. Flo's app, Camera MX, got second place with 18%. Jason, your rotation orientation manager, got 15%. And sadly, I came in last. Little old Swipe Edge got 7% of the vote, which is sad. Yeah, exactly. So that's going to give us an arena win count. The guests tie Flo for third place with 4 wins on the year after 19 weeks. I'm still in second with 5 wins, and Jason is still in first with 6 wins. And as always, thank you, Wade County, for keeping track of that because I'm too busy to do that. So,
we appreciate your hard work.
We do.
Your tireless work every single week, Wade
every
County.
week. So I lost last week, and that means I kick things off.
Yeah, you
and
do it.
I realized that I somewhat have a similar app, but this one has got a killer thing, so bear with me. So my app this week is called Foo Viewer, also known as Float Viewer. In the Google Play Store, it's Foo View Float Viewer. And this is kind of like Link Bubble or the kind of floating interaction point on top of your launcher, but this does some wacky, crazy stuff. So take my shot, Josh, and we can take a look at it. My big old head will get out of the way. All right, so you'll notice here, this is the icon to launch the app, and when you launch it, it points out the fact that it put a little floating dot on the side, and this is your main thing. This is your Foo View, all right. And the gestures you make when accessing this Foo View will, it's going to be hard to say that a lot.
Foo View.
Will determine what you do. So mainly, first off, there's a gesture that if you just swipe to the left, it will go back to home, which is pretty cool. And also, if you're in a browser or if you're in Facebook or whatever, a quick swipe to the left will go back a page. So you can, so as opposed to going down to the back button or using, the app's native back functionality, you can use this to kind of overwrite it and use that. So that's one neat thing. But then when you pull out, I'm trying to get to it. Oh no, actually when you tap on it, there you go. So now what I've done is I get a whole bunch of launchers, little dots where I can launch different apps that I use a lot. So I can go into WhatsApp, I can go into Textra, I can go back to my Disney Kingdoms game, I can go check out the baseball game, go check out Google Maps. So it's a neat little launcher from the side if you're interested in that. Additionally, you can go up here and reposition where you want the dot to be. And so let's say I want to put it up here, and so now it moves up there, right? So it's pretty cool, all right? So then, I show everybody my chats. Then, thank you, Josh, fast on the fingers. It's also got, It's also got an access to all of your apps. So once again, if you're on a device that doesn't have an app drawer and you're looking for an app drawer, this is a pretty cool one. Basically, it alphabetizes them and gives you all of your apps in that kind of order. And it also shows you system apps, ones that I have backed up because I'm on an Xbit, pinned ones, hidden ones, etc. So whatever the various different settings there are on there. The other cool thing is that and how do I get up to that one? Thanks. There we go. I just totally hid the thing and now it's gone. There it is. Okay, so there's also, and I can't get to it now. All right, so now I'm going to show you the coolest aspect of it of all, is that if I go to, let's go to new fancy Instagram and let's pray that this is, there you go, this is appropriate. Okay, so you see that my little Foo View is here now. If I tap that and drag it and hold it, oh, hang on, I did it too long. It's hard to do it in the demo, so bear with me, but this is going to be worth it. Okay, so you see how it changed that little plus icon? Can you zoom in there, Josh, on the black? You see that?
There it is, yeah.
So now I can draw a box and take a screen grab, and then now I can either search the text within what I screen grabbed, and so it's doing OCR, character recognition, to search for what you're doing, or I can take that screenshot and save it, or I can share it. That's amazing. That's really cool. Additionally, you let me go to one that has,
you can translate.
That has text. Yeah, you can translate. Yeah. So here we go. So I'm going to go to Prager's video here. It's much easier when you're just using it. Bear with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Where is it?
There it is. Okay.
There it is.
So now I'm going to capture all that text, and it's reading all that text.
And breaking it out.
And so now what I can do is I can copy it, I can translate it, or I can search for it, and I also have the screen grab of the image.
Nice.
That's really cool. So what you've got is you've got a combination launcher floating access kind of app, kind of control, floating UI, as well as screen grab with not only screen grab, but instant share, instant OCR translate, instant search. It's just a powerful little tool. It's super, super cool. It's free in the Google Play Store. It is in beta, so the developers are working on it, making changes and all that sort of stuff. So bear with it. But it's fun. It's pretty. It's neat. It's just when I saw it, I was just like, whoa! And there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that I actually didn't show you. And if you scroll to fast access, it's one more. There you go. There's a whole other menu system within the app as well too that allows you to access. They have a fun little game baked in where it's kind of like Tetris with your icons, and you can access the web and you can access different apps, and it just it's a different way of interacting with your phone. So Foo View, float viewer. There you go.
Nice.
So,
I like it. Foo View. One word, not two, because I think I put it in as 2 words down in the lower third. But there you go. Foo View. Do a search for that, and it's free. Michael, you're up next.
Alrighty. Well, so I was kind of scrambling a little bit because the app that I had picked weeks ago and is super awesome was already in the arena. So
it's afflicted us all.
Yeah, I was caught.
at least you caught it before the show started.
Yeah. So luckily, my friend Sheldon showed me a really cool app that I think is useful for a lot of people, and it's called Network Cell Info Lite. And basically, what it allows you to do is check your network information so that you can figure out all sorts of information. So my friend Sheldon is a Project Fee user, and he uses it to determine which of the different cell providers he's actually using at the time. But it has really great functionality as far as if you go to my the product cam, it can demonstrate it real quick.
Yeah, I just want here. I'll hold it.
Oh, okay. You're good at demoing stuff for me. Oh, it was already on the product cam. So you can see it has just really beautiful graphics and really glanceable information. But I thought what was really cool is this map view that actually allows you to look at your existing signal and then determine where the closest cell towers are to you, which could be really super useful if you're trying to optimize certain things with your cell network. So that's it. It's a super powerful way to just understand what is happening with your internet connectivity.
Right
and
wow, we're pretty close to a cell network or a cell tower.
How about that?
Nice.
And while I still have the microphone, I should mention that it is Romain Guy's birthday today, so we'll give him a shout out as one of our favorite Android guys. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
There we go.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Network Cell Info Lite. And it looks like there's a lot of different things.
Tons of different information. Probably more information than most people would honestly need. But the information it does give you is super glanceable and super easy to understand. So probably good for people that really want to get in depth, but also super simple, clear.
Nice. Excellent. All right. Network Cell Info Lite. And that is free. I'm wondering if there's...
It's free. There's a paid version that disables the ads.
Got it. Okay.
So
you see them down at the bottom there. Excellent. All right, Network Cell Info Lite. Check that out. All right, and Liam, you're up next. I almost went with this one actually when I was looking at my apps a couple of days ago, so I'm happy you're showing it off.
Yeah, so I chose Bushido Bear, and it's if anybody has ever played Alpha Bear, it's the same company, and they took one of the little bear characters from that game and basically gave it its own game. And it's super simple. You basically just draw lines around to fight enemies without touching the enemies. And they come in, waves. It's a very common mechanic. But I just think it has a great art style. It's a great game to play when you're just idle. So I'm a fan of those.
Alpha Bear was a lot of fun too. And it had a really nice kind of art style to it. Cool. I'm installing it right now.
It's a good concept. It's a little Japanese kind of, fighting.
Well, I'm not going to have it in time. My apologies.
Games
and Alpha Bear is such a cool app. I mean, cool game. Like their style is really good and fun. So obviously a company that knows what they're doing.
Josh, can you play the video from the Google Play Store? There's a video there, so we can see some of the gameplay.
And Triple Town. I feel like I recognize.
It's funny, Liam, because your design sense. You're such a great designer, and when I think about you playing a game with a cute little bear, it's a bit of a disconnect. But I'm glad to see that you.
Oh, I
some
see.
recreation in between designing great things.
Yeah, I love this game. I just love it's like an extension of Alphabet, which is a game that I love, and it's also a fun game.
Yeah.
So
there it is. Bushido Bear.
All right.
Oh, download on iTunes. That's unfortunate. Yeah.
It's up there. I think it's blocked
no,
for you because there's a camera there.
Yeah.
But okay.
Oh, we got it. All right.
I got it.
There we go.
But I think it's probably gonna be the little demo thing.
Oh, nice. So it's got the soundtrack to go along with it.
So you go like that.
I think you don't touch the guys.
yeah, so if you touch them, you die.
Oh,
without
never
touching
touched
the
that.
guys.
So then like that.
Look at that.
Ah, I see. Ah, nice. That is kind of satisfying, actually. You collect the loot. Okay, collect it. All right, this is obviously the demo kind of walkthrough, but it gives you an idea of kind of the mechanics of everything.
I just think the sound is really well executed. The art style is really well done.
Yeah,
Very
I
nice.
like it. That's cool. I'm gonna have to keep this installed for Google I/O when I'm getting. I'll be in a talk and be like,
You do
And
need
then
some
all of a
breaks.
sudden, someone's gonna be like, "Is someone playing Bushido Bear?" Because you didn't turn the volume down.
yes. Be like, huh? What? Are you talking to me? Oh, excellent. It
In the
is
Google
Bushido
Spaces,
Bear.
in the spaces.
Yes,
space,
the spaces are going
someone's gonna be
to
like, "Who's
light
playing the
up.
game?" Yeah.
Be like, I know the sound of that. I know what that is. Okay, so my app, real quick here, is an app called. Well, it's an app about apps, and it's called App Usage. And it's one of those apps that kind of runs in the background to kind of track, well, what you're doing with apps, which I actually find kind of handy because I play with a lot of apps for shows, and sometimes I forget what I've installed and what I've removed. And, it's also kind of nice to get a sense of kind of your usage habits. For example, God, what was it? It was usage history. I think it was this chart here. Oh, no, not that. Again, there we go. I'm pretty solidly, like, if I remember correctly, like right at about like an hour and a half, 2 hours a day for the most part of usage of my device. I don't know why I thought that would be more than that, but I was kind of like, all right, I could deal with that. That's good to know. But basically, it shows you all of the apps that you currently have installed and allows you to uninstall those if you want to. System, all the apps that you've installed once and then when you uninstalled them. So if you installed something, then removed it later, and then maybe you forgot what it was or when you removed it. Sometimes I find going into the Play Store to find things to be such a challenge, even if you're going to your own apps list, because mine is probably literally thousands of apps in there. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it's a real challenge. So tracking this on the device and being able to kind of search for it and everything at least keeps it zeroed in on this particular device that I'm using. Activity history that kind of keeps snapshots of everything that you've done app-wise. So
It's really pretty too.
yeah, it looks. I like the kind of the design of it. This is obviously a timeline of how I've used my device, from what apps I used at what time to when I locked the screen, how long I had the screen active for when it was. And with apps like this, I never really know like what the exact use case is for it. Is it that you're trying to cut down your usage? Is it that it's just fun to have all this data and all that kind of stuff? I don't know. But they do a really good job of kind of breaking it out in ways that make a lot of sense. Like here you can kind of see the percentage of your time used on particular apps. Apparently I do a lot of Reddit, which is 50%. That's kind of blowing my mind right now. I did not.
It's a wake-up call.
I know. I need help. This was just May 11th too.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I mean, 50% of my usage on May 11th.
What was that?
If my total usage time was 1 hour and 8 minutes, that was a half an hour Reddit. That's not overdoing it. I guess your mileage.
Sometimes percentages can.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there we go. You've got different charts kind of tracking just all sorts of stuff. It's a lot of fun to kind of go through here and take a look at things. And like you said, overuse reminder. It also has functionality built in so that you can kind of throttle your own usage and give yourself reminders. I know you've shown off at least an app or two that kind of does this. So this is kind of integrated into here. If you think you're using your device too much, you can put it in there. You also get little reminder messages that kind of does like a daily summary of what you've used on your device and when and all that kind of stuff. So the app is called App Usage. You can check it out for yourself. It is free. I believe there's a paid upgrade that gets rid of the the ads that might appear in the free version. So look for that. I want to say it's like 99 cents or something. But there you go. App usage is what it's all about. So right now I'm frantically creating the bit.ly code. What is the episode number?
266.
It's 266. Save. And it should work now. Go to bit.ly/AAA show 266. If you can't find it there, just go to the All About Android community in Google+, and you can find today's poll and vote for your favorite app. Is it FooView, Network Cell, InfoLight, Bushido Bear, or app usage? Do that. We'll check in on it next week and see where we land.
Awesome.
A lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm
good
really
times.
looking forward to tomorrow and the rest of the next coming days, as I'm sure we kind of all are, to kind of find out what our destiny has in store for us.
This is a big week. This is where everything happens.
Google I/O really is kind of like finding out what your destiny is. It's like you're being assigned your next year's worth of mission.
Well, and in a literal sense. I mean, I know at Touch Lab we had a meeting with a client and they were saying they wanted to do like cool stuff on Android that's like new. We're like, well, we got to wait until after next week because anything can change.
Because that's where you find out all the new efforts and all
Anything
that,
can happen.
Mm-hmm. That should be their tagline.
It should be.
Awesome stuff. Liam, tell people what you want people to know as far as kind of what you're working on, where they can find you, all that stuff.
Okay, so the latest thing, which I did not pick for the App Arena due to conflict of interest.
Fair. That's fair.
Franco and I just released 5217. It's like a super simple, minimal timer app. So check that out.
Oh.
And
I saw that actually. Yeah. That was pretty neat.
So we just took basically the elements of a timer for this one productivity cycle and pared it down to the absolute bare bones minimum interface, and I think it came out really well. So we're working on more support for that and everything. The other main project that I'm working on is mutative design, phoebe.xyz, PHOEBE. Still working on that.
Which when I read it, it's one of those things that I'm like, man, I need to be smarter than I am because I kind of get it, and some of it flies right over my head. But I love what you're working on because it feels like it's a different mode of thinking about design on
right. I think hopefully design goes a similar direction in the future. So I want more people to kind of jump on board and start figuring it out with me.
Excellent. Cool. So where can people find more information on that?
Phoebe.xyz. That's PHOEBE.xyz.
Got it. Excellent. Liam, always a pleasure. Thanks for making
it's great
the
to be
trek
here
all
in
the way
person
up.
for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, it's our pleasure.
exciting.
Anytime you're in the area, please just let us know. And if you want to drive all the way up, we would love that. Same goes for you, Michael. It's always,
Thank you.
I love that this is like our recurring thing.
I love
Every
it too,
single
actually.
Pre-IO episode has Michael on it for, is this the 5th year?
I think it's the 5th year.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
That's awesome.
It's very cool.
It's awesome. I love it.
Tell people kind of what you're working on. What's new?
Okay. MikeWolfson.com. I'm an independent developer. And in fact, last year I had just started my independent development NIS, and I was sitting on the show, and I actually got a job from Phil Nickinson, my fellow panelist. So I am developing their app. So I'm going to pimp that. So if you are interested in Android, check out the Android Central app in the App Store because that's what I maintain, and I think it's really good.
Dude, that's fantastic.
Congratulations.
That is really cool.
And that's a success story from All About Android. Last
I
year,
know, right?
last year in this
People
space, I said I'm an independent. I need a job, and happened that I found one.
So did Jason tell you about our percentage cut, or how did
Yeah,
it's been a year?
I gave it to Jason already. He said he was going to share it with you.
We'll talk later. Ron, what about you?
Yeah, you guys know the drill. Go to about.me/RonXO. You can find links to all my social media and check out ifanboy.com if you like comics. And I'll be back here, although on Skype tomorrow, to talk about Google I/O with Leo and the gang, with Leo, Andy Anako, and Russell Holly, right?
Yep.
So looking forward to that. That's always fun. And yeah, I think I'm doing screensavers in a couple weeks. I'm doing a lot of Twit this month, so it should be fun.
Excellent.
So hope you like me. I'm sorry if you don't.
And if you don't, just wait for a month.
Just wait. Yeah, someone else will be here. So that's fine.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep.
What about you, Josh? Yeah, that's right. I'm throwing to you.
That's right. You can always find me on Twitter. I always hate to say my Twitter handle on this show.
Don't hate to say it. Embrace it.
But Android people can use Macs, though. There's no reason that I can't be the Mac and Josh.
That's fine.
On All About Android, right?
Not the iPhone and Josh.
I'm not right. Exactly.
So
Exactly. There's still room for for that. So that's what I am on Twitter. I don't post as much anymore, so it's not going to be very interesting. But
that's okay.
I did spend an entire afternoon trying to figure out whether wearing slip-on shoes was acceptable in the workplace, and I spent like a whole day looking for shoes. So that's what I've been up to.
That's Josh in a nutshell, right there.
Yeah, there it is. Josh in a nutshell.
I'm wearing the slip-on shoes right now. Someone equated them to Velcro. I don't think so, though.
I'm looking forward to
kind of the same thing.
I'm looking forward to his new podcast, Josh in a Nutshell.
I like it.
I blew the delivery.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, thanks for hopping in,
Hey,
Josh.
maybe that's what N will stand for. Nutshell.
Nutshell. There you
maybe
go.
so.
Nutshell.
They'll go in an entirely different direction of casings of nuts. You can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. Follow my music at yellowgoldmusic.com. Don't forget, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, twit.tv/live for live I.O. coverage. Leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. Send us an email. It's AAA@twit.tv. We are on Twitter, @AndroidShow. We are on Reddit, twitaaa.reddit.com. We have show notes and past episodes at twit.tv/AAA. You can catch us live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Just go to twit.tv/live for that. And that's about it for this week. And, we're going to go have some fun in Mountain View. We'll talk to you next week on another episode of All About Android. Bye, everybody.